Coming up on the FRC Open Alliance Show, 4481 Team Rembrandts is back. They're the Hopper winners from last year, coming in from the Netherlands. They have some amazing things to showcase for their progress in the REEFSCAPE season. We'll talk about strategy, their data-driven decision-making, a lot of prototypes you've got to check out, and some of the progress and what they've learned from these prototypes as well, too. They're taking an interesting decision of actually foregoing LG right now. We'll talk about that decision for that, too. Check out their Kitbot that they created. They're showcasing their cycles, what they learned from that, and how it's making a different decision for their archetype as well, too. So let's learn more about 4481 and their progress coming up here on the FRC Open Alliance Show. And we welcome him back on the Open Alliance Show, 4481 Team Rembrandts coming in from the Netherlands. Hopper winners last year, actually with another Open Alliance team, 63-28 mechanical event. So congratulations on a phenomenal season that you had last year as well, too. Competing week 1 and week 2 out in California again. So we can't wait to see everything that's going on with your team. Hey, y'all, why don't you introduce yourselves? Let us know what you do in the team. We're going to be jumping right into all the great stuff you have going on.
Yeah, thanks for having us. I'm Yannicke. I'm a part of the electronics team in this team.
I'm Gijs. I'm part of the 3DN team.
I'm Jort. I'm part of the hardware team.
So let's jump right into what you've been working on. You mentioned 3DM on that. I'd love to hear more about some of your strategy and how you're approaching it.
Yeah, so during the kickoff, we dove straight into the 3DM. We looked at the analysis and mostly the skills list. Here we decided what we want to do. We decided on doing L1 to 4 Coral and no algae scoring. So with a deep climb to make sure we can reach all the RP.
Well, I want to ask you about that. So you're not going to go with any LG scoring at all this season currently. Is that correct?
Yes, we are not focusing on it. It might become a part of a robot later on if it fits within the archetype, but we are not focused on it.
Okay. So can you dive a little bit more into, like, on your decision making? Why did you feel that maybe LG wasn't the appropriate way for your team to go?
We wanted to reduce complexity, and we noticed that as soon as we add algae, you have to handle 2 different game pieces, which could add a lot of trouble within your robot. You have to add multiple subsystems for it. So that's why we decided on just being a simple robot that could score all the coral and still be a high-scoring robot. So for our 70% rule, we decided on building the robot with only the coral. We looked at our probable cycle times together with what we needed to win a competition. For California, that's around the 70% mark of the total OPR of a world's winning robot. So that's why we decided on a 70% robot with only coral, as algae wasn't needed to get the OPR score.
So you're competing weeks 1 and week 2 in California, right? I think that automatically kind of notches up some of those requirements a little bit because you have such tough competition out there. So really cool to just see how you're analyzing and breaking all that down. Let's jump into some prototypes you've been working on. I'd love to see some of them.
Yes.
We're working on the internal gripper with funnel. As you can see right here, it has the 2-inch wheels, and it we'll showcase it real quick.
Yeah, and it catches the coral, and since the 2-inch wheels add some pressure to the sides, the coral won't come off.
We tested a little bit. We had a shorter version which didn't have much grip, but we extended it, and now it seems to work pretty good. But it has you can't get the algae out of the reef because the wheels are internal. But we'll look on that later on.
Another thing that we added to this subsystem is the funnel, because as you maybe can see, the gripper itself is quite small. So to make it easier to align at the coral station, we added some funneling with the hope that it will be easier to align during a match.
Yes, and we also have the spring-loaded gripper. It's now only doing algae, but we are looking into also getting coral with it. But
this system is it is based on I think what the Ninjaneers posted a few days ago, and it was interesting for us to try out. So we made a wooden prototype, and we're currently testing it.
Furthermore, we also looked into some deep climbing. We can't show it on screen right now because we don't have the videos of them, but I think you have them. So we tried multiple tests. One where we clamped the bar with using two rods, and one where we had an internal hook that would attach itself to the top plate of the cage.
And for your team, timing wise on all this, what does kind of like your match cycles look like? Is there a certain amount of time you want to reserve for doing a deep cage climb? Is it something that you just want to do if there is enough time? How does that all break down for your team?
For now, looking at the RP, we reserved around 15 seconds at the end of the match for a climb, as it's quite a difficult climb this year, so we can't do it in 3 seconds like last year. However, we will look into if we need the deep climb or can score coral when needed to win a match instead of just going for the one barge RP.
So on the video that we showed with your test, we saw a couple different grip materials used for grabbing onto that cage. Have you done any other tests at all that maybe were on your Open Alliance blog or anything like that?
Yeah, we tested it without any grip, but it had too much slack in it, so it couldn't hold on and it fell off. So then we added the little grip, and it didn't make it hard to align, so we'll have to look into that later on. But for the climbing, it worked perfectly for now.
All right, so we have this awesome robot down by you, the Hank robot, right? And I'd love to hear more about what you're utilizing from the Kitbot on here and some of your decision making behind everything and what you've discovered from it.
Okay, so we decided to build a Kitbot this year to start driver practice as early as possible. Since we had the resources to build this one, and we also had a running drivetrain, so it was an easy decision to make it. And yeah, what I said, we want to utilize the driver practice, but also we want to test how long it will take to drive cycles. And as the video that is shown on screen, we validated the results that we calculated with 3DM. So in the video, you can see that we are able to do 21 cycles with this Kitbot. So those are really promising results for the rest of the season. And that's what we built it for, actually.
Were you able to fit 21 coral actually on the reef here, like on level 1?
Well, a lot fell off, and I think that 21 won't be able to fit if you don't organize it well. So there are also some insights that we learned from using this Kitbot. So that.
Yeah, and mention there's no vision on this or anything like this. It's just pure driver skill that's happening for this. So, for your team, as you're looking back and you're analyzing the game on here, how many cycles do you think that you're going to be able to accomplish, or what are you hoping for when you build your actual robot?
Yeah, I think Gijs can answer that.
For our 100% robot, which we want to achieve if possible, I think we were at around 23 cycles during a match with an extra 3 to 4 in auto. And for our 70%, we're a little bit below that, still at 4-piece auto, but we're looking into 18 cycles.
So learning what you had off of the Kitbot on here, I know that you have some archetype decisions that have been made off of that. So where has that led you into? Where are you getting at so far in terms of continuing the evolution of your robot?
Yeah, we made an archetype decision because it was very simple design, and also to have maximum area for improvement. So we can just change the grippers out. We can test everything, how it works, and if it doesn't work, we just change it. So it's very simple, and we're also starting very early this year with building.
Yeah, as George said, we came up with some different archetypes, and we actually chose archetype number 4 because it's really easy to change the grippers and other subsystems. So we're still trying some different climbs, for example. The Robotics came out with a new climb that seems really promising, so we want to try that combined with what we already have. So that's why we chose this archetype to iterate a bit more before regionals and get the best out of the robot as we can in 6 weeks.
And the other reason we chose this archetype was mostly focused on the simplicity with the amount of degrees of freedom. We only have a single stage So only one linear extension, and then with a pivot instead of using 2 linear extensions. And this should help the hardware team to be faster with the iteration process.
You mentioned that your team is playing week 1 and week 2, plus you have international travel to do, all that stuff. The robots got to be created and shipped up. From your, do you set essentially like milestones or deadlines that you want to hit as a team, or is it like, hey, we're just going to get as much done as possible by the time we have to leave? What is some of maybe the future like 3, 4, 5 weeks look like for Team Rembrandts?
The goal that we mainly have is to have the first alpha robot running around the end of week 3. So that's the main goal that we have. And further, we can iterate on that robot to make sure that it's up and running. And to ship it to the United States, we put the robot in our suitcases. So the deadline for us to finish it is really when we leave. So that's really helpful to ship it in our suitcases.
Yeah, it gives you a little bit more time, right? So that's really
Yeah,
interesting.
for
I'm sure
yeah.
packaging a robot in a suitcase is a story in itself as well too, and how to get all that shipped over as well. So, but hey, Team Rembrandts, we're going to have you back on here in just a few short weeks, so we can't wait to see your progress. But you make sure you are following their progress on Cheap Delphi on their build blog as well too. There's so many great things on there and a lot of great resources that teams can learn from. So, Team Rembrandts, thank you so much for taking the time. Really appreciate everything we can learn from this, and we wish you best of luck. We'll see you in just a couple weeks.
Yeah, thank you a lot.
Thanks for having us.